and welcome to the first in another series running as we enter yet another lockdown period. What we're keen to do at the council is make sure that we're communicating in a timely and efficient way with all our residents, and making sure that everybody knows what support's available, and they have an opportunity to channel questions back to us that we can address with further podcasts during the week. All through this week, I'm going to be joined by various members of our senior team at the council from different departments. We'll talk about their function within the council and what we're doing to support residents. And we're starting off today with some of the grants and support that's available from our revenues and benefits and qualities team. So I'll just introduce the people I've got with me today. I've got Janet Sinnott, who is our revenue team leader. Good afternoon, Janet.
Good afternoon, Mike.
I've also joined by Rosemary Ronaldson, our benefits team leader. Good afternoon, Rose.
Good afternoon, Mike.
And also by Lynsey Crotty, who's our appeals and quality team leader. Good afternoon to you as well, Lynsey.
Good afternoon, Mike.
And I've also got Jenny Brumby on today's podcast. Jenny's working with us, heavily involved in business support, and will be the council's direct link to a lot of the businesses right across the borough, providing support and guidance and direction of where to channel any potential queries. So, Janet, I'll start with you and your team. During the first lockdown, Copeland done a fantastic job in turning around grants remarkably quickly. Could you give us some insight into what grants are available for businesses now, and what process we as a council are going through to get those delivered to where they need to go in a timely manner?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mike. It's good to be on your podcast today. So regarding the new grants that are effective from last Thursday, there are 2 cash grant schemes available. The first scheme is the mandatory one, and this is called the Local Restriction Support Grant, and that's for closed premises. So to apply, businesses must be able to confirm that they were open as usual before the restrictions last Thursday, providing services in person to customers from the premises, required to close due to the restrictions imposed by government, and paying business rates for the premises before the restrictions commenced. The types of businesses this affects in the main is the non-essential retail, hospitality and accommodation businesses, leisure and sports facilities, entertainment venues, your hairdressing and beauty salons and places like that, and community centres and halls. There's a detailed list of business types available on the council's website, so I would encourage anyone who is unsure to check that out. It's a single grant to cover a 4-week period, and it's based on the rateable value. So the important point to make is that a business must have a business rates bill to apply for this grant. Grant amounts £1,334 every 4 weeks if your rateable value is up to £15,000, £2,000 every 4 weeks for rateable values between £15,000 and £51,000, and £3,000 every 4 weeks for businesses with rateable values over £51,000. And they were excluded last time, businesses with rateable values over £51,000. It's really important that they understand if they're in those categories, they can apply this time. If the business has got more than 1 qualifying property, they can get more than 1 grant, as long as they don't go over the state aid limit. The team have worked really hard since the guidance came out last week, and we've highlighted approximately 700 businesses that will be eligible for a fast track payment because they received grant support from the council earlier this year, and we believe they're due support following the restrictions imposed last week. We do still need those businesses to confirm some important details, and the application link has been uploaded to the website this morning. This is a shortened form for those businesses. For everyone else, so just to confirm, this is businesses that didn't receive grant support from us earlier this year, and they've been forced to close due to the lockdown, and they pay business rates. They need to apply through the same link that's on the website, but this is more of a detailed application process for those businesses because it's the first time we're engaging with them. As soon as we receive the online forms. We'll verify the business immediately and we'll make the payments as fast as we can. If anyone is unsure, all of the criteria is on our COVID support for businesses page on the website, or you can contact the team because we're here, we're available to advise further if you need us. That's regarding if you're paying business rates. There is an additional fund, and that's called the Additional Restrictions Grant. This is a one-off payment for councils to distribute in 2021 and 21-22. Copeland's fund is going to be around about £1.3 million, and we're due to receive the payment from government over the course of this week. So this is to help businesses that are either forced to close but don't pay business rates, so they can't apply for the first scheme that's launched this morning, or they're not legally forced to close but they've been severely impacted by the restrictions. It's likely that the scheme will take into account things like fixed property costs, number of employees, and the scale of the COVID losses. It's a cash limited fund, and as it's discretionary, it does require some thought to make sure the support meets our local needs. The option to apply will be made available as soon as we've devised this local scheme. We're working on this now, and we're hoping to align it Cumbria-wide as much as possible. The message today to those businesses is please keep up to date with the website and social media, and alternatively, if a business is unsure, please contact the business rates team at the council and we'll advise further.
Okay, thanks. That's a full comprehensive update there. For clarity, everyone needs to apply in one form or another. But those who have had grants previously, it's a simplified process, and this can be accessed through our website.
That's right, Mike.
Okay, thank you very much, Janet. Rose, can you just give us a bit of an outline of what we're doing in your area?
Yes, certainly, Mike. So my team deal with the council tax support claims, which is for anybody that's on a low income, really. We also deal with housing benefit claims, and what that is to do with if somebody's paying rent. Generally, this is that the rules have changed quite a lot because of universal credit, but it's a payment towards those towards your rent, basically, for those on a low income. If you are working age, there are quite a lot of new rules now in that you have to claim universal credit to get help towards your rent. But there's quite a lot of information on our website in relation to that, and also on the government website around claiming universal credit. In addition to that, one of the things that we've been doing for COVID, so earlier in the year we got some money from the government for the Hardship Fund, and there are two elements to that basically. The first part is a payment of up to £300 off the council tax bill, and the criteria for that is basically that you've had council tax support. A lot of people get mixed up between council tax support and single person discount on the council tax account, and it is two separate things. The council tax support is for people that are on a low income to be able to claim that. So if you've already had that within this financial year, you will be able to get the Hardship Fund, and we are doing that automatically. As people coming on and off the council tax reduction and support, we're doing that automatically within the team. But if anybody believes that they haven't had it and they should have had it, then if they just contact the benefits team, and we'll look into that for them. For anybody that hasn't had council tax reduction through the year, then there is a discretionary part to the Hardship Fund, which Janet's team is dealing with, which I don't know if you want to just say something about that at the moment, Janet.
Yeah, sure. As Rose said, the council tax hardship fund predominantly for working age local council tax support recipients, 300 off the council tax bill. But the council tax team are there to advise anyone who may not be in receipt of local council tax support, but their income levels are unmanageable right now, perhaps because they're on furlough, as they may qualify for a £300 discount off the council tax bill. The application form is available on the council tax page on our website. And yeah, the message is, anyone who is struggling, I would encourage them to fill that in, send it to the team along with the relevant evidence, and we'll consider it further.
It's an important, you don't need to be unemployed to be eligible for this benefit. It is, anyone who's struggling, let us know, and we'll see if we can help.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
right.
Yeah. The team also, one of the things that we've been dealing with, so the government brought in the new test and trace support payment, which is a £500 payment for people that have to isolate because of COVID or somebody close to them has tested positive. Now, there are some criteria with that, so it's not, everybody isn't eligible for it, unfortunately. So you must have been told to isolate by NHS test and trace and have a reference number that we can verify. A lot of people are getting a text through and they're not really doing much with the text, which means that we can't verify that reference number. So it's really important that they follow the process through when they get those text messages. They must be on a low income or be self-employed or self-employed and have lost income due to isolating. So some people may be able to work from home, so they wouldn't be able to, even though they're isolating, they can continue to work, so they wouldn't be able to qualify. So again, yeah, they mustn't be able to do the job or the self-employment from home. They also must be in receipt of one of the qualifying benefits: universal credit, working tax credits, income-based job seekers allowance, employment and support allowance, income related, and housing benefit and pension credit. If you aren't on one of those qualifying benefits, you still have to fulfil the other criteria. But if you don't have one of those benefits, then we do have a discretionary scheme as well, which can be applied for. And what we'll do is we'll look at your circumstances on an individual basis on what income you've got and how it's affected you. And the application for that is on our website. So just go on there, fill in answer all the questions. That'll come through to us, and then we'll try and get those payments out very, very quickly to people, because we realise people are being.
Rose, you know, we're directing people to the website and the forms that they need to fill in. You know, if they need any help doing, you know, completing the forms or getting access to the internet, which can be an issue for some, where would they look?
Yeah, if you just ring the council number 01946 598 300, select option 2, which will get the benefits team, and we will be able to either do that process for you or online, or take you through it and help you to be able to do that. The team are there; they all know what circumstances are, and even for claiming, you know, the council tax support as well. If somebody hasn't got the means, we can do one of two things. We can ring them up and we can do that claim with them over the phone, or we still have the ability to be able to send out a paper form if that's necessary.
Great, that's really helpful. Lynsey, in your department, what are we doing currently to support residents?
Thanks, Mike. Obviously, as part of my role, I assess applications for discretionary housing payments, also known as DHPs. Basically, Copeland is given a pot of money annually from government, and DHPs may be awarded when a resident requires financial assistance towards housing costs. But obviously, as part of that, they need to be entitled to either housing benefit or universal credit with housing cost element towards a rental liability. The DHP scheme, it is a limited budget. Each application as part of the claim process, I use applicants' income and expenditure. So obviously I do need proof of that as part of the application. Due to the short-term nature of the fund, it's there to provide kind of capacity in terms of time and financial support for households. This is to obviously enable them to seek some further advice if they need it, make changes to the circumstances which hopefully will achieve some sustainability and ensure that they're able to live within the means for a longer term period. The DHP fund can assist any eligible residents who have been affected by various welfare reforms, which means that obviously they're struggling to pay the full rent due to that shortfall. So if an award is made, it won't be any more than what their actual eligible rent charge So rent shortfalls can include a various number of things. So it can be things like due to social size criteria, which is also known as the under occupancy charge or the bedroom tax, which a lot of people refer to it as. And that is a 14% reduction where there's an occupation by 1 bedroom, or 25% where there's an under occupation by 2 or more bedrooms. It can be due to a non-dependent deduction from the benefit. It can be due to reductions in housing benefit or universal credit when there's a benefit cap applied. Where as a private tenant, the rent is restricted due to a rent officer decision being placed on it, or obviously local housing allowance, or just for any other reasons, for the fact that their income's too high, so therefore they're not entitled to the full rent. Discretionary housing payments also, I can use them to help with rent deposits, bond or rent in advance. Which are obviously can be needed if a tenant, a resident wants to move to somewhere more suitable. But again, they need to be in receipt of housing benefit or universal credit housing costs to enable that move. Obviously, again, if awarded, it can get them to move and to secure a new tenancy. But again, I'd kind of be looking at if the property was affordable. Obviously, and that they've got a valid reason for moving, and the fact that they're not putting themselves into more hardship. Obviously, another reason I can pay a discretionary housing payment is if a tenant is in rent arrears with the landlord. So obviously, if they're being evicted for rent arrears and have had a shortfall in rent, I can look at awarding a one-off backdated DHP payment to try and clear or reduce any arrears. Obviously, on the back of that can prevent homelessness and could assist applicants moving again into a more sustainable property going forward. As part of that particular application, if it is for rent arrears, a resident would basically need to show me that obviously they cannot afford to clear those arrears themselves, and to provide proof of the rent arrears to me from the time that they started to build to the current date. The big issue with rent arrears, unfortunately, is if a claimant has been in receipt of enough housing benefit or universal credit housing costs to cover all of the rent at the time the arrears built up, they may not be eligible for assistance. But again, it depends on what those circumstances are. And obviously, on the back of that, there are some things where discretionary housing payment, unfortunately, cannot be used to help with, which are things like council tax, service charges not covered by housing benefits, such as gas, electric, water charges or meals. Obviously, it won't cover any increases to rent due to outstanding rent arrears, any reductions to benefit due to any sanctions being placed. Any periods of repaying a housing benefit overpayment, or any housing costs that happen to be mentioned as part of a UC award notification to support any mortgage interest payments. So unfortunately, owner occupiers just are not eligible, unfortunately, for DHPs. Obviously, when a customer applies to me, they need to be giving me as much information as they can as part of that process. Obviously, just making me aware of why they need that help. Obviously, was it caused by any rent shortfall, bedroom tax, reduction to income, etc. And obviously, is there a risk of homelessness because of any rent shortfall or rent arrears, basically?
Lynsey, are we identifying potential beneficiaries, or do they need to identify themselves to us?
There's various means. Obviously, I work a lot with our own housing options team.
Yeah.
So again, obviously, people that are going down the homelessness route, they're going to be placed in temporary accommodation, people suffering domestic violence, etc. So I get a lot coming through that way, a lot from external agencies, so a lot that are coming my way from Citizens Advice, financial inclusions teams with our social landlords. So I do get a lot kind of driven my way from them, but obviously a lot are just coming from residents themselves who are suffering financial hardship.
Okay, that's really helpful. It's worth probably pointing out at this stage that in podcasts that are being run tomorrow, we will be having members of the housing options team and some of the agencies that Lynsey referred to, also who support our efforts. Jenny, you're interfacing with all the local businesses and will be a point of contact to support the work that Lynsey, Rose and Janet are doing to make sure we're interfacing with the businesses and getting information out to them. What's the best way of people contacting you, and how are you able to provide support?
Yeah, so they can contact me through our Copeland Borough website and our Facebook pages. I've also created a Shop Local page on Facebook, so you can come and speak to me through that way on Messenger or by email. I've been working for Copeland now for just over 8 weeks, and I've visited about 500 businesses within that time. So it's put me in good stead to understand what is needed of me now. And I have a great understanding of what Copeland does, and thanks to Janet and the team, I have an understanding of the grant system. So now my work is going out and speaking to people and directing them. And it's a big message saying, if you are in business, come to us and see, how we can help you. Because I think the good thing about this grant system is it's more flexible than the previous ones. So it gives Janet and the team more flexibility to be able to help the businesses that have fallen through the gaps previously. And, I think we are very resilient. I think that if we can get through this very unstable period, then we'll come back much stronger as businesses. And it's fantastic to see on social media so many businesses transferring themselves into delivery services and click and collect, and going down a different way of marketing themselves, which is really successful on social media. So I do believe we are a very, very resilient borough, and we will get through this. And and Copeland's here to be able to help financially, in lots of different areas. So it's a pleasure to be a part of the team and see the hard work that's being done behind the scenes. So just well done, everyone.
Thank you very much, Jenny. And what I would say to anybody who is watching the podcast, please share it. We're trying to get as much information out. We're trying to deliver the support to businesses and residents as quickly as we possibly can. The team have been on it. The information has just come through, and we're ready to go. The last lockdown period, we managed to turn the grants around in double quick time. I can speak for all our guests on today's podcast, and their entire teams are absolutely committed to delivering that support as quickly and as effectively as possible. So please, if you're watching the podcast, share it around to as many people as possible who may benefit from it. And if you want to comment on the pages that it's gone out on, we are picking up on all the comments. We all watch them, all members of the team, and any questions that we've not managed to cover or further information that you require, let us know, and we will get that information out there to you as quickly as possible. Janet, thanks for joining us today. Rose, thank you very much for your participation. Lynsey, first podcast, wasn't that bad, was it?
It wasn't.
Okay. and Jenny, thanks for joining us also. As I said, we're going to be running a number of podcasts over the course of the week with various teams on the council. So please keep giving us your feedback and letting us know the questions that you as residents need answered. Thank you all. Bye now.